The female lead tells women's stories. Remarkable, diverse, inspiring. An educational charity promoting positive female role models who show the many different routes to success and fulfillment.
So often I hear people saying, oh, how do I get started? How do I do this? How do you do it? You just start. You have to begin. And it won't be perfect and it'll be messy and it'll be hard, but you're doing something and you're on your way.
Empowering future generations of women through films and a book of 60 women donated to 18,000 schools in the UK and USA, reaching millions of young people. And through our female lead societies, we help girls to discover new role models that speak to their passions, ambitions and careers. Through our research into social media and mental health, we found a solution to the negative impact of social media on teen girls. Through a simple intervention which encouraged girls to follow different influencers, we were able to change their entire social media experience and sense of well-being. We called this campaign Disrupt Your Feed, and it reached 20 million people on social, with 330 million impressions all over the globe. So what's next? As well as inspiring girls, we're now finding ways to measurably improve the lives of older women through data, research, and the stories of those who have overcome challenges and found their own personal versions of success. We're a long way from being finished. Join us in our mission.
Are we going to talk about women's rights again? Yes, we're going to talk about it until there's balance.
Hello everyone, welcome to this LinkedIn Live. We are going to be talking about how can beauty be more inclusive, and we have the most fabulous array of experts and people who I think are going to open our eyes to I suppose the important subjects that don't get discussed enough. I'm Edwina Dunn. I'm founder of The Female Lead, and we have with us today some amazing people, including our friends at Number 7. So, The Female Lead knows that for women to be fulfilled and happy, the definition of beauty must become broader. We all want to respect each other's choice on how we groom or how we present ourselves. We need to recognize more diversity in our prevailing beauty standards. I think we've all come too far as women to celebrate only one physical archetype. Things are changing, but definitely not fast enough. The beauty industry's made some progress, but I think we all agree not enough. So today we're going to look at the steps that have been made, the importance of inclusivity, and we'll shine a light on what still needs to be done so that all women can feel good about themselves. Let's meet our fantastic panelists. So first of all, Chishty. Emna's Global Vice President and Marketing Director at Number 7 Beauty Company. Welcome. She's responsible for innovation, including Number 7, Soap and Glory, and Liz Earle. She drives diversity, equality, and inclusion strategy within the amazing Number 7 Beauty Company. Sharon Lloyd is the Race and Equalities Advisor for Education at the British Beauty Council, co-founder of FACE, which is a community centered all around creating equality within the fashion industry. She's a lecturer and former fashion textile designer, course leader for makeup, hair design, special effects, and prosthetics. Quite difficult to say. Brilliant work. Welcome. Dija Ayodele is this is even harder, aesthetician and founder of Black Skin Directory. She's an entrepreneur, a wife, a mother. Her passion for the beauty and grooming industry started when she was just a little girl. She took matters into her own hands and created Black Skin Directory in 2007, connecting women of color with expert skincare professionals. Welcome. And finally, Ruby Hammer Mbe, makeup artist, brand founder. She has a career spanning 25 years and has become one of the best known, best loved and respected makeup artists in the business. She says that makeup shouldn't have to be a mask. And she urges people to use makeup to emphasize their best features and to embrace what's unique about their face, which I think is lovely. Okay, let's kick off, ladies. So there's a question for all of you. I'm going to come to you, Noah, first, but let's ask, we can see that the beauty industries gathered momentum in recent years, and many brands have changed advertising. But why? Why is it so important? Why now?
So first of all, hi Edwina, fantastic that we're having this conversation with such an incredible panel tonight. You're absolutely right, the conversation has been had for quite a while and things are progressing, but we believe at Number 7 Beauty Company that there's still more to be done. And the reason it's really important is because within the beauty industry and as brands, you have the opportunity to create or reflect stereotypes or break them down. And that's why I think it's really important as brands and as a company, we use our voice to create change within the wider industry. So as a business, we've taken a number of commitments and actions to use our voice to be powerful to create change. So it's a whole host of things from testing panels to our product portfolio, but also education. And I'm sure we'll touch on some of those topics later. And one of the things that we've had the privilege of is actually working with amazing people like Dija on our education programs. I know Dija also has some really key points that she'll want to share on this topic.
Absolutely. Again, yes, great panel. Thank you for hosting. I think it's more about the fact that we have, like you said, we have to reflect the society that we live in, and whether it is the case, whether you have a platform or whether you are a business as well, you can effect change, and there has to be a leader who's effecting that change. And I think it's great that the Number 7 brands have actually started to lead that way, because being a stalwart of the high street, when people see that and other brands see that it's easier for them to follow along and join that wave of change, because we are living in a more diverse world and we are having people from all parts of the world moving to sort of bigger cities, melting pots, and I can say personally as well as professionally, it's not nice when you want a particular type of product, or you know, beauty is about belonging. You want to belong into the crowd, and in certain ways, and you follow the crowd and you go along and go, oh, well, there's nothing for you here. And that's always been my sort of bugbear, and one of the reasons behind why I set up Black Skin Directory, because I was intrigued that I had so many women coming to see me, all saying, well, I couldn't find anyone who I felt could understand me or look like me or I could trust in my own area. So I've come all the way to you. I was intrigued by that, and also very saddened by people saying, well, I went to certain places and, what transpired is that they said, oh, well, especially when it comes to things like professional treatments. Oh, well, you know, we don't do black skin because, you know, it's not nice in the 21st century to hear things like that. And yeah, we have to be change makers.
And I think from what you said there, you know, and from my background in retailing, availability is so important, isn't it? And it's really what Number 7 brings. It's so accessible, it's so there, it's so present and visible, and it kind of normalizes everything, which I think is such a big step and such an important move. Brilliant. Ruby, are we seeing more women of colour? And you know, do these faces start to better reflect diverse needs?
We definitely, good evening everyone, and hello Edwina. We definitely are seeing it. We are seeing it. But you know what? It was more than necessary. It's about time. You know, it's not like Dija said. It shouldn't have. What is so shocking to me that we're in 2021 and we're still having these conversations that are about, you know, you kind of think, did we not get the vote 100 years or however long ago? Did that not include not just, you know, not just women, but all aspects of, you know, that we will have progressed? And sadly, there's still so much to achieve and travel on this journey, because it doesn't stop. It is ongoing. The onus is on each of us. And so when someone like Number 7 or Boots or a big giant picks up the baton and makes a conscious decision that we're going to address this, it gives us all courage, and it gives us all, wow, well, if they're doing it, then there's a trickle effect everywhere. So whether it's reflected in advertising or in my kind of world where I'm so tough. On Tuesday I did a shoot and it's a Christmas issue, and I'm just showing a small snippet of what it's like in my world. We've always had extraordinary, beautiful models, people of all sexes, all races, you know, that hybrid mix. But for a Christmas issue, you know, magazine that's going to be on the newsstand for a black girl with short hair, the way Dija has, it's still, no, you know, if it wasn't Naomi Campbell on the cover of Vogue, it's very rare that that's trickled through to the mainstream, you know, and I was thrilled. She's a beautiful, elegant girl. We kept her hair natural, but just, matter of fact, not making a special case of it. It was just, she's in there. And Christmas issues, no, I have to be blunt that no, there wouldn't have been a girl like that even 2 years ago. So we have made progress. We need to make more.
Absolutely. Point very well made. Very well made. So, so Sharon, are marginalized consumers feeling more included? And, you know, was Black Lives Matter a phase or the beginning of a growing trend?
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. Marginalised consumers. Well, I really think that any initiative that makes them feel included needs to be applauded by changing the narrative of all these beauty ideals. I think what we really can do is create an industry that's more akin to a community, because that's really what we're really fortunate to be working in this area. That's what the beauty industry is. It's an amazing community. But I think that what we really need to do is think about how we can commit to giving back and donating to and advocating for socially responsible causes. And I think that's going to be, I mean, if we're going to be talking about what next, I think that's the thing that's going to be key to pushing this agenda forward. And I think that really, when I think about what's been happening since 2020 with the Black Lives Matter protests, we had lots of the black squares on Instagram. How many of those brands have actually committed to all the initiatives they said they were going to commit to? I mean, it's been quite shocking. I think that when we look at social media posts from beauty brands that feature darker skin tones in nearly 25% of their images, you know, that was at the height. But by August of that same year, that had dropped to 16%. And so, you know, it's okay to do this sort of, to do all this sort of voiceovers of what this commitment is. Actually, commitment means commitment in so many ways. You cannot just vocalize it. We want to see action. And that's why number 7 is so fantastic. We're actually seeing action being, you know, literally in front of our eyes. And certainly at the British Beauty Council, with the we're committed absolutely to actioning lots and lots and lots of the ideas surrounding inclusivity. So it's fantastic area to be in right now within the industry.
Amazing. Let me stay with you, Sharon, because you spoke about what's going to happen, the future. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot still to discover. It's not just about a statement. It's not just about color. I think it's about ingredients as well. And you speak some really interesting concepts in this area.
Well, I love trend predictions. It's partly my background, but I think really consumer expectations, I think that's going to have to rise. It's happening already. The lack of representation has to reach beyond just a foundation shade. It's so much more than that. And I think that skin tone diversity, I think it's just one indicator of inclusivity or diversity with lots of brands. And many are beginning to actually capitalize on beauty product formulations such as halal certified ingredients. So I think that what we're looking at is the opportunity to develop lots more specialized product formulations that's going to be promoted to everyone. I don't want to see these product formulations promoted just to Black consumers. That's just, it's unbelievable. Why would you do that? So I think that really what we're going to see is a rise in innovation for everybody, and not just within skincare, within hair care also. That's really important. So I think that we're going to have a really exciting, innovative time coming towards all of us in the industry.
That sounds great. I'm excited to hear more about it. Okay, thank you. Let's come back to you, Munnawar, and you know, what's your vision of the future? What are the things that you're excited to bring to us, to be part of this excitement?
Yeah, I think Sharon touched on some critical points there, mainly about, you know, the best in beauty being available for everyone and all forms of DE&I. And that's very much our purpose behind the Number 7 Beauty Company, which is about making the best beauty available for everyone. But it includes a holistic approach, right? So Sharon talked about it from a category-wide perspective, but it's also about how you approach it internally within the business. And these are some of the things that's going to be driving longer-term change within the industry. So if you think about how you approach this, if you're starting right at the beginning with your strategic thinking being truly inclusive by researching with broad panels of consumers, or when you're developing your products, you're testing those with broad panels of consumers, this is where you start to see longer term change. And some of the things that we've done is that we've increased the diversity of our consumer testing panel by 121%. You then start to look at your product portfolio, and Sharon referenced different categories, and that's absolutely true, because I think historically the approach has been mainly around cosmetics, and we've also done that. You know, we've increased our cosmetic ranges by, you know, we've increased by 120 new shades or shade upgrades, which we've recently launched, but we're also doing it on skincare. So we've recently launched our new Pure Retinol range, which not only talks about lines and wrinkles, but talks about other aging concerns for other races like pigmentation, as an example. And then you take that through to your communications. And I think historically, if you had, you know, a diverse representation of people within your advertising, that was seen as being inclusive. But I think you need to be talking about much more than that. And we've done that. We've certainly done that in our new campaign, which is We See You. We've actually shone a light on how people don't feel included. When we did some research, 56% of non-white skin tones said that they didn't feel represented by the beauty industry. So we thought we could use our voice as a brand, leading brand within this field, to talk about that. So I think you've actually got the film, which we can play.
We have. We're going to play the film, and then I'm going to come to you, Dija, after the film. So let's take a
look. I have
look.
one other point before the film then, which is around education, because this has to be holistic, right? So when people go into stores, they need to be having informed conversations with people who understand different skin types, skin tones, different skin needs. And that's what I love about our business, because we've taken a full end-to-end approach. And with regards to our beauty advisors, we have 1,600 beauty advisors. We've done a CIBTAC endorsed training program, which includes a number of modules. So, for example, the uniqueness of skin, and Dija has helped us with that, but also things like menopause. And we worked with Dr. Louise Newson. So, you know, to Sharon's point, it has to be inclusive in all forms of DE&I. So that's also really important. And those are the things that will drive longer term change.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, let's have a look at your We See You campaign.
Now you see me. Now you don't.
Now you see me. Now you don't. Now you see me. Now you don't. We see you. That's why we designed our new No. 7 Pure Retinol range to work on all skin, to target uneven pigmentation, wrinkles, and boost radiance. With a night cream, eye cream, and concentrate that work even better together. Only from No. 7.
Well done. Really nice. Really, really good words. Love them. Okay, Dija, talk to us. Will there be more nuance in how brands and products are presented? And, you know, what do you see coming?
I definitely see more nuance happening. I definitely see brands taking more time to actually really research what consumers want. I think we've been in a period where brands sort of do what I call a sort of like a lazy tick box. You know, do we have an Asian looking lady? Do we have a black lady? Which doesn't actually really get to grips with what perhaps the consumer actually really wants. So I think brands are going to become more nuanced and spend a little bit more time doing the research and making sure they speak to different consumer groups in the ways that would work better for those consumer groups. I think going back to Sharon's point, that's probably why we saw such a drop in engagement with things like the Black Square pledges, because when brands realize that actually that commitment to diversity and inclusivity, as I always say, as a business person, comes with a cash responsibility. You've got to spend some money, and when brands kind of delve into it and realize, oh gosh, this actually costs. It's not, and you hear the stories of influencers, you know, sort of handing over, this is my fee, and brands going, oh gosh, you cost that much. It's like, well, actually, yeah, you're asking for people's expertise here. So I think we're going to see brands actually start to realize that it's a long-term game, and it's a game that requires investment, not just in time and commitment. It's a game that requires investment in money, but because you're also trying to build up trust. You're talking to a community that, not even just from a beauty point of view, but even just from a health point of view, has been very distrusting. Is that the word? Or mistrusting? You know, but hasn't had that trust basically over hundreds of years due to mismanagement and poor treatment. So there are perhaps going to be some lost leaders in a way before you get to the position where there's actual equality, belonging, acceptance. So there is that. But what I'd also like to see is I'd like to see some the gatekeepers of beauty, especially when it comes to business ownership, and being around that higher level board table, that C-suite board table, that is where I'd like to see a lot more diversity happening. I think it's great that we're seeing diversity and inclusion in cosmetics and skincare. But I am actually post all of that now. I am now at the point of, well, who controls this diversity? Who controls the inclusion of this, of people? And what I'd like to see is more diversity right at the top, because when we have that, it means that it's a natural process of everything else flowing in the right direction. I'd also like to see more people of color owned brands, not just necessarily Black owned brands, but people of color owned brands being given the support to progress within the industry as well. I think for me, that's where the real changes are going to need to happen.
Very, very strong, interesting points. Thank you, Dija. And let me just say to everybody out there, I bet you're thinking of questions now. Please pop them in the Q&A section and we will have time just at the end. We have to gallop through a little bit, but that was great. Ruby, let me come to you. What are your thoughts about the future? And, you know, how do we avoid tokenism and move to this new era?
How do we avoid, I missed the last part.
Sorry, I swallowed it. That's why, tokenism.
So I just feel at the end of the day, I'm just echoing and, you know, expanding on what Sharon said, what Dija said. Just right at the conception, you know, of anything, whether it's a brand or it's vitally important that we think not at the top, not at the bottom, not a thing, just when the seed, you know, just when the seed is being planted, when you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go into business, whether it's for a restaurant or in the beauty industry or this product or that product, inherently it's got to have addressed that, you know, so I'm not just doing this for this, or I'm just doing it for this market. Is if it's already there, it will blossom the right way. Then the other thing about Dija was saying that we do need people at the top and not just, you know, scrapping at the bottom here, but in every sphere of life, before one gets to the top, there's a whole run. So we have to examine how does one get there and facilitate and help everyone along the way. So whether that's from your basic education from school, you know, from hanging around, mixing, to that process and encouraging people to grab the things, you know, not just going into, oh, I think I'm clever with maths and I'll just go into accounting or something. You have to encourage everybody to grasp every aspect of life. Like I can say, as an Asian, I'm an economics graduate. And I remember when I started to do makeup as an assistant, and lots of my parents' peer friends would be like, "Was she going to make a living out of that? She should, you know, she's a doctor's daughter. Shouldn't she? You should have encouraged her to go there." And then my parents were very broad-minded. They said, "Well, what to allow her to do what she loves, what she's good at, and wood, I have gone further that way and dragged everybody else with me because I don't see them as different. I just open that door wide and let people in every step of the way. But it starts from the seed. You have to be that. You have to talk to people, encourage that, and whatever that is, formal way from what Seven are doing, what you yourself are doing, Edwina, what Sharon is doing, what Dija's doing. Everyone's doing something. I've done it for our brand ages ago when we partnered up with Boots. That was a momentous thing at that time in the 90s. So we just have to keep doing more and more of that, and not just a lip service and it's a trend. We can't be, you know, it can't be like you're interested in tennis for 2 weeks at Wimbledon is on, and then after that, oh yeah, drop our rackets and off we go. It's ongoing every level of the way.
It's a great rallying cry. We are all furiously agreeing with you, Ruby, but I worry that maybe there are some people not listening yet. Let me turn back to you, please, Munnawar. Tell me about the role of stores and the fact that they're a safe, welcoming place. What can you do to draw us in and to make this more and more fun, more and more normal?
Yeah, I think it's really important that stores or the retail environment represents the communities that they serve, and they do that in a holistic way. And there are a number of things that can be done, and I'll just call out, three simple things. Firstly, you need the right product offering. I think Dija talked about the types of brands that should be there, black-owned brands, people of colour brands, but also the products from, big corporates like ourselves, making sure that the products that we're delivering are servicing those communities and all communities, so that everybody feels like they belong. So that's really important, the right product range. Then secondly, you have to think about who are people talking to when they go into store. Do they feel welcomed? Are the conversations they're having, are they knowledgeable and informed? And that's where, I mentioned it earlier, the training that we've given to our 1,600 beauty advisors is critical, right? And we train them on all sorts of things. One of them is the uniqueness of skin. The other thing is on menopause. And I've done the uniqueness of skin training that Dija helped us with. And it tells you about everything from melanin, the importance of UV. It tells you about how different races age. And therefore, the conversation that beauty advisors can have is much more informed and much more tailored to the needs of different consumers coming in. So that's really important. And thirdly, you need to look at the services that you're offering and make sure that the services are inclusive. So just a couple of the things that we offer. We have our Macmillan Beauty Advisors that help people with free advice for those dealing with the visible impact of cancer. So that's, just one example. Another example is we are trialing currently a derm grade scanning device. That means no matter what your skin type, tone, background, you can come in, get an analysis, and it'll tell you uniquely for you the issues of your skin, and then you can get a tailored product recommendation. Those are the kinds of things that stores need to be doing, because when you do those things, you make people feel welcome, right? And it feels more inclusive, and it does feel like you're representing your communities. So Ruby has her hand up.
Yeah, go Ruby.
I just think that that's great. And then just your what's the word? You are tailoring things to specialists and inclusive, but the basic level has to be that not just one expert knows something. The tier at the bottom. So it should be just that they know some sort of, at the bare minimum, it should cover everything. And then of course you get different specialists like you get in the medical profession, but when they're studying medicine, they have to cover all bases. And this is what we have to do about all aspects of it. And bravo for number 7 and for doing that. But it needs to be like that for everybody. So if you are a nail technician, you're looking not just how do I file nail? Just every aspect of that in every sphere of whether that's hair, that's cosmetics, that's skincare, or how you talk to somebody to make them feel, oh, I don't know everything, but you know what, I have a client who has more knowledge about this, but if it's just a basic requirement, I can deal with it. I don't have to go look for, we should all these people serving should reflect across, say it was a chemist or a department store, wherever you look, you walk in and you see a sea of faces or people, they should reflect a multitude of everyone. So not just, I don't know, I fudged there, but it's just that where the basic knowledge has to be wider and deeper, and then it will address specific requirements, whatever. I feel that because normally you'd walk there and you think, they're all young girls, I'm getting on, how will she understand about my wrinkles? Or, oh my God, she's not got any pigmentation problems, how would she know? Or I need, just that people have this questions and they have fears and they have things that they need messages that are vocal, visual, just many levels to just make them feel comfortable and draw them in and feel, if they can't, that they're able to ask without feeling embarrassed about any aspect.
Ruby, can I just say, Ruby, I mean, what we're really talking about is right across the industry, It's a leveling up of expertise for everybody. Okay.
I'm going to give you a little example. I agree with you, Sharon, and you're going to go back there. But look, when we have models that have textured hair, say, can you imagine when their agent sometimes will ring them, they've got the job, wow, and then they ask her to say, you've got really short hair, or you've got your hair, do you think you could do your own hair? Would they ask that to somebody who has long Caucasian but long hair? And it's, you know, I'm not specifying colour. Are you going to ask that model to do her hair, like, or attempt it on a shoot? No.
Yeah.
So you are right. It needs every aspect of that so that she can go and be able to feel, okay, I'm good. Or the next one saying to the makeup artist, do you think you could handle her hair? It's only a little bit here and there. No, all of that shouldn't. You're right. So you go back to what you were saying, Sharon.
No, well, you know, it is that leveling up. I mean, we consider ourselves to be experts in the field, but actually, do you know what? You know, we talked about sort of having more expertise at the very top. What we really need to do is also have expertise coming up from the bottom, and so it's about really having these inclusive specialists. Training these inclusive specialists, starting at with many of our HE level courses, further education courses, and going into higher education. I mean, in the UK, we've got Habia, and they've already published a national occupational standards for hairdressing, and it's a standard that's going to reflect diversity of curl patterns and hair types. So, in other words, black hair. So what we really want to do is encourage more knowledge acquisition. As I said, we want these experts to come out into the industry. So what I think is going to really happen is this increased appreciation for black hair as a result. I mean, it's beautiful. Why wouldn't you not want to have your hands, you know, on black hair? It's amazing. And I also think the other thing that's going to happen is this sort of normalization of hair standards in the workplace. Please, dear God, can we have that normalization? So as well as in our schools, you know, don't even go there about the schools in the UK or in some of these other countries, the reports I've been reading. So what we really want is the stop this penalization of women and men looking like themselves. That's ultimately what we want across the industry. So I think that going forward into sort of thinking about this general question about what we want from this industry, we want to be us, don't we?
We want to be us is a great moment and line to pause on just for a moment. We have just not very many minutes left, and I want to make sure that I give you the stage to say the things that you haven't talked about yet, things that may be the best outcome for women. I think you've already touched on some of those, but also, you know, the ways in which your industry and people within your industry are making a difference to the world. So we probably have the opportunity to go now to each of you to address that before I then turn to questions. Okay, so who wants to go first? And can I ask that you go on mute if you're not talking, because we've got a bit of feedback going on.
I can go first. So I think we've all covered it. The best outcome is that everybody feels like they belong within the industry. We can all reference a moment in our lives where we didn't belong, and we all know what that feels like. So imagine a world where everybody feels welcome and that there is the best of beauty available for everyone. I think that's fantastic. I think the things that I'd like to mention that we perhaps haven't talked about, and I think some of us have touched on it, is first of all, your D&I strategy as a business cannot be something separate. It has to be central to everything you're doing. As soon as you think about it as a little tick box on the side, you're not approaching it holistically. So you need to make it central to your strategy. Secondly, and Sharon touched on this, as did Dija, D&I is about so many things. It's culture, identity, race, mental health, well-being. We need to be thinking within the beauty industry is about all aspects of inclusivity. And thirdly, and again, Dija, Ruby and Sharon talked about this, the people that are in the driving seats, incredibly important. You need to be asking yourself, who's at the table when we're having these conversations? And if you don't have the right makeup within your business, there are things you can do now to get the right people on the table within your business. So for example, we have worked with people like Dija and Dr. Ayodele to come and help us with some of the work that we're doing. We've equally got a very diverse group of beauty advisors. We've created a panel from that beauty advisors, and they've equally come in and talked to us and helped us with our business. So think about who you've got that is driving your strategy and your D&I thinking, and make sure that group is representative and is inclusive, because it's only through that that you will really create change. So that's probably the few things that I just wanted to land that we didn't get to before.
Perfect. So who wants to go next?
Oh gosh.
Dija.
Yeah, I'll go next. I think what for me it would be, I guess if we were looking at what the perfect situation would be about women of all backgrounds and of all ages, of all races, being able to participate in what I call both front end and back end of beauty. I'm very passionate about not only what consumers get on counter, but I'm also very passionate what happens to enable products to get on counter and what happens in the business. But I'm also very passionate about education. And I think, yes, it's fantastic that Number 7 company has provided so much education. Obviously, I was part of that to the advisors because they recognize the need for it. And it would be great if other brands were to also do that, but also, as Sharon said, for our further education, higher education, to also provide diverse, training. Because what I see and what and how Black Skin Directory ended up being a training provider was because we then had therapists and doctors turning up at our door, our virtual online door, asking for training, because that's an aspect. I say a lot of therapists, for example, come out of beauty college, and I always say you need to ask for your money back because you only got 3/4 of your education. You're missing a whole piece. How can therapists walk out and graduate, or makeup artists graduate, and they or hairstylists graduate, and they can't do, or they're scared of doing black skin, or they're scared of doing Afro hair. So that education is great that Number 7 has sort of started that off. But I think we shouldn't be having people coming to industry full stop that don't have everything in place to be able to treat the diverse footfall that we have across the UK and across the world. So for me, it's about the front end and for consumers. And also there's something that Munnawar said that I thought fantastic, but we also need brands who are doing this sort of great work to actually let consumers know that they're doing this great work, that they have these devices that can look at your skin regardless of your skin color. Because what happens is when consumers don't participate in that, those things get dropped to say, well, we did put it on, but the women of color didn't really use it. The rates were really low, but did they know about it? How is it advertised so that people know about it? That's another issue that comes forward. And I'm just going to make one last point, because I think this is an important point. I think it is also the responsibility of people of color to participate in the process of change. It is not just, if I put it bluntly, it is not just up to white people to make all the change. We also have to participate. We cannot be armchair critics of a process. How in the hell would, say you, Edwina, know what to do if I keep my mouth shut? How would you know what pleases me as a consumer if my mouth is shut? So it is up to all of us to participate in that process of change, which is one of the reasons why, you know, I've loved working with Number 7, because I'm actually making a difference. And when I see adverts on TV, like We See You, I can see nuances of conversations that I've had with people at Number 7, and you know, I can see that reflected back at me. But that is only because I am participating in the process of change. We are all change makers.
I love that. That's so well said. Really, honestly, it kind of punches you because you suddenly realize, you know, yes, we need to understand. We need to be told the questions to ask, don't we? So I love it. Now, I have some questions, but I'm aware that I haven't given Ruby or Sharon
You know,
the opportunity.
I agree. I'm happy to go.
You're
forward.
happy? Shall I ask you the questions that have been sent in by our audience? Okay, we have the last 5 minutes. You can jump in. You can say where you feel the passion to answer. So here we go. How do you ensure that a particular beauty product is inclusive of the society that we live in?
I'm going to jump in and just say, I repeat what I've said earlier. It's just from the conception, you've got to, if you already, it's your intention will bear fruit. If you don't have that intention to begin with, it's not going to be inclusive, is it? Because so if you already start there, it'll be reflected all the way. You know, that's it. It's as simple as that. You don't have to. Yes, you can. We all have to do a bit of market research. What will it cost? What's the pricing, costing, whatever. But if my desire is to make it available for everyone out there, that's the kind of questions I'm going to ask. That's the kind of companies I'm going to see. Can you do this product? Can you make this? Can you not? Whatever. Oh, this won't work because it only works for this section of people. So it starts from the concept, intention, whatever. That's it, and then you will bear fruit.
And also, I'd add to that just very quickly that does it only have to be that one version of the product? Could it be 3 different versions of the same product, for example? Because in one particular product A, for example, may not suit everybody, but you could have that same version, but just a couple of different versions to make sure it is inclusive of everybody. So sometimes you hear brands say, well, you know, this particular one, well, could you have possibly had 2 or 3 versions that would then fit a wider demographic? Who knows? Sometimes it's not always possible, sometimes it is. So that's another way of making things inclusive, by thinking just a bit bigger.
And I'd like to add, because now that we're in the room, I would like to add, actually, let's have more diverse people creating these products. I mean, it's really interesting. We're all talking about it. We're diverse, and we've all had different approaches to this. Let's have more diverse people within the system working on developing these products.
Hallelujah. I agree with that one very much. Okay, here's one. And it might have to be our last question. Makeup and beauty has no gender. How can we involve men in the conversation too?
Gosh,
Speaking to men at the point.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Speaking to men where they are, I think that's. I was doing some work recently, and it was to do with black men, and no, we're not really getting any black men in the survey. And the response said, have you gone where they are? I.e., maybe have you gone to the barbershop on a Friday evening, for example, where a lot of black men are getting their shape up? You know, meet people where they are. And I think that goes for men as well. Because men are interested.
I agree. I was just being cheeky and flippant and saying they're already in the conversation. They're the bloody ones that sit in the boardroom and tell us what we're supposed to look at and what we're going to do.
But also, it's not the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. It doesn't happen like that. Invite people in. As Dija's absolutely right. You know, you need to actually go out there and actively speak to people.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to squeeze one more in because you're on a roll, you're on fire. What's the next big change you'd like to see in the industry, ladies?
Oh, wow.
I know. can I just say, because I'm the mouthy one here, I want to see more support within educating young Black and brown cosmetic, makeup and hair creatives and aestheticians entering the beauty industry. Can we have some more support for them, please? It's really hard to get going. Just to get you onto that very first rung, I'd like to see more support.
I just don't want the momentum to stop. I just think whatever it is, just keep on going, because if we flag, you know, and Sharon is right, the more people are coming in, it'll give the energy to push this thing. Keep it going, not just for us, our next generation. Just don't stop. We can't afford this stop-start business. It's got to go, and then it can roll bigger and bigger and bigger. Just there's no, and I'll do everything we can to help that process to not stand still and not go backwards either.
Well, I think honestly, ladies, you have done your part. You have played your part in the fantastic conversation we've had this afternoon. And thank you for your insight, your creativity, and your ability to share what are fresh and really important ideas for change. So it's been a pleasure and an honor to talk to you and to share this great conversation. Thank you to our brilliant audience, and thank you each of you, Dija, I fluff your name, Munnawar. I am so sorry. It will hit eventually. It's my age. Ruby and Sharon, thank you. It has really been an education.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edwina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.